transdisciplinaire. Son premier objectif étant de faire travailler ensemble des étudiants de l'ISDA, de l'IEP, de l'ENSA, pour les amener à identifier puis développer différentes recherches sur des sujets liés aux conflits ou nés des conflits. Son objectif second vise, dans un but futur plus lointain, la mise en place d'un champ de recherche sur les incidences de la guerre sur la ville et l'habitant. Ce thème a été abordé ce matin à travers la présentation de 10 recherches de groupes d'étudiants des 3 établissements, dont je salue ici les étudiants et les membres des personnels administratifs et techniques. À partir de l'analyse du cas de Sarajevo, de son siège de 92 à 96, les étudiants ont questionné les liens entre ville et guerre et plus précisément les incidences de la guerre sur la ville à travers les questions dont certaines se croisant ont ouvert des perspectives différentes, différenciées de l'urbicide à la recherche et la conservation de l'eau, de la restructuration de la sociabilité du quotidien aux différents temps de la reconstruction post-guerre ou de la réparation des traumatismes psychologiques chez les enfants par exemple. Ces recherches nous ont montré les multiples natures, échelles et densités des perturbations et traumatiques de l'impact d'un conflit sur les populations civiles qui, en situation de contrainte, développent des adaptations et mettent en place des outils et dispositifs, voire dispositions, pour survivre au cœur du chaos. Ces adaptations et ces outils qui peuvent être pensés comme des formes de négociation avec une réalité insupportable, un environnement inhumain, représentent autant de sujets de recherche, potentiellement sources de projets et de réponses partielles à des problématiques très actuelles. Je vais laisser la parole à Eyal Weizman. Merci.
Merci Philippe, and hello everybody. I am actually extremely disappointed that I cannot be with you today. I heard Toulouse is fantastic and that the school where you study is a very interesting place to discuss those issues that we're going to be discussing today.
Alors bonjour à tous, je voudrais déjà vous dire que je suis vraiment déçue de ne pas être là avec vous aujourd'hui. En plus, pour ce que j'en sais, Toulouse est vraiment une superbe ville et vous avez une très bonne école qui vous a d'ailleurs permis de traiter de tous les sujets dont nous allons débattre aujourd'hui.
As you know, I started my architectural career somehow backwards. I started dealing rather than with buildings. You know that usually architects see we are like the maiden, the midwives of buildings. We see them when they're born. And I am usually interested in building when they are destroyed. Forensic architecture is like the pathology of architecture.
Alors je vais vous expliquer un peu ma carrière d'architecte, mais en remontant progressivement en arrière. Alors déjà, moi je n'aime pas spécifiquement les bâtiments, mais je vois plutôt l'architecte comme la sage-femme qui fait naître, qui fait sortir les bâtiments de terre. Moi, en tant qu'architecte, ce qui me passionnait étrangement, c'était plutôt leur destruction. Donc c'est ce que moi j'ai choisi d'appeler l'architecture, donc des preuves, l'architecture presque légale.
And my first project was actually in the West Bank, Palestine, where I was showing how Israeli architects can violate human rights and international law on the drawing boards.
I am very sorry to
roads and bridges.
I'm very sorry to have to interrupt you. It's just we have a sound problem, and with the audience being in the room, I barely can hear what you say. So, excuse me for doing this.
Let's sort it out.
I'm very sorry.
Bah oui, on entendait. C'est bon, j'ai monté moi.
So if you could go back to the West Bank of Palestine.
So I was saying that
Thank you.
as an Israeli architect, I was interested in violation of human rights that were undertaken on the drawing board, on the way that architects could be complicit in human rights violation. And these were the settlements in the West Bank.
En tant qu'architecte israélien, je m'intéresse beaucoup à tout ce qui touche à la violation des droits de l'homme et la manière dont nous, en tant qu'architectes, pouvons proposer un moyen d'action. C'est ce que nous avons fait lorsque nous avons installé les baraquements donc, sur la rive gauche de la Palestine.
And since then, I was involved in something that Edward Said, the great Palestinian writer, called counter-cartography, to turn cartography against the masters of space.
Et depuis lors, j'ai été énormément inspirée par Edward Said, le grand penseur palestinien, qui a développé le concept de contre-cartographie, c'est-à-dire de s'opposer à toute domination de l'espace.
And now, with the advent of social media and the high availability of satellite images, we turn counter-cartography into counter-forensics.
Et avec le développement actuel des réseaux sociaux, l'imagerie par satellite, finalement cette contre-cartographie devient une contre-preuve.
And we are now a group of about 20 people, architects, coders, archaeologists, investigative journalists, lawyers, and scientists, and we work together to provide evidence against state crime. And it could be police shooting in Israel or in the United States. It could be forest fires in Indonesia or disappeared student in Mexico.
Et nous sommes donc à présent une vingtaine de personnes à travailler ensemble, donc architectes, développeurs informatiques, archéologues, journalistes d'investigation, des avocats, des scientifiques. Nous travaillons vraiment tous ensemble pour mettre en évidence, pour apporter des preuves contre les crimes d'État, qu'il s'agisse de fusillades policières en Israël, aux États-Unis, qu'il s'agisse de disparition d'enfants au Mexique.
So we try to create counterpart against states. And I will show you now a number of projects that can demonstrate this principle of counter-forensics. To take forensics, which is a state tool, is what the state does, and to turn it around, and now we are citizens looking at the crimes of the state.
Nous sommes donc quelque part une contrepartie face aux États, et je vais vous montrer quelques-uns de nos projets pour vous expliquer un petit peu quel est ce concept donc de la contre-preuve. Par exemple, tout ce qui va toucher à l'enquête légale, à la preuve est un instrument étatique. Et notre but à nous, c'est de le retourner afin de permettre aux citoyens en fait, de regarder d'avoir un regard nouveau, en fait, de rendre évident ce crime d'État.
The first project I want to tell you is this prison in Syria. It's a secret prison in which people are executed and tortured.
Alors, le premier projet que je vais vous montrer, c'est une prison en Syrie, prison secrète où l'on exécute et on torture des gens.
And we were asked by Amnesty International to reconstruct this place, but there were no photographs and no bits of evidence.
Et Amnesty International nous a donc demandé de reconstruire ce lieu, mais sans aucune photo et sans aucune trace, sans aucune preuve de ce qu'il y avait avant.
So we developed a technique, I hope that you see it on the screen now, by which we build architectural models and give them acoustic properties. Those witnesses mainly remembered the sound of the space because they were taken blindfolded or their hands were pressed against their eyes. The place was very dark, so we are working to acoustically recreate that space with the witnesses.
Donc notre technique a été de mettre au point par ordinateur des modèles en fait acoustiques, puisqu'on s'est rendu compte que les victimes gardaient en mémoire, avaient une mémoire du son en fait du lieu où elles étaient, même si elles étaient aveugles ou bien se cachaient très fort les yeux avec les mains ou bien étaient prostrées dans un lieu sombre. Donc notre technique est une recréation acoustique avec l'aide donc des témoins.
And finally, we were able to reconstruct a model of the prison, very precise, locate every chamber in it, and give visitor a way to navigate inside of it.
نفس الشيء سميناه فراش.
Hello? Do you hear me?
Donc vous voyez à l'écran le modèle que nous avons réussi à reconstruire de la prison. C'est vraiment un plan extrêmement précis. Vous voyez toutes les geôles y sont représentées et on peut y circuler virtuellement complètement librement.
And we tried to be, when we speak to witnesses, we always build architectural models with them. Here, a witness is gaining a bit of memory by reconstructing the hatch on the door of his solitary cell.
Et donc lorsque nous parlons aux victimes, nous reconstruisons avec elles les modèles architecturaux et les victimes gagnent par ce biais un petit morceau de mémoire en étant capables de reconstruire le loquet qui fermait en fait la cellule qui les emprisonnait.
So let's hear one of those witnesses.
الشراء اللي نفس الشيء اللي سميناه فراشي تحت بيسموه شراء.
على قد عرضها؟
عرضه بقدر.
So he is asked to reconstruct the window and he says it's the size of his face. And then a new memory comes out.
On lui demande de reconstruire la fenêtre et lui déclare que cette fenêtre est de la taille de son visage et c'est alors qu'un nouveau souvenir fait surface.
And this is the memory that he had was that the guard asked him to push his head through this through this hatch, and he was beaten severely on the other side. So only his head was through the door. Here you can hear it.
اللي مدرسك أنا فهمت اللي مدرسك اللي مدرسك منه أنا قلت لحالي إنزين قلت له ما بيطلع هو فعلا راسي بالطول ما بيطلع قلت له ما بيطلع بالعرض بيعرف على العرض بيطلع راسي فعملت هيك ففعليا أنا عملت هيك راسي بالعرض مرق بالعرض يعني وقت صار العرض تبع راسي هو الطول الطبيعي وبعد ما طلعته بالعرض رجع جلس لي بحس جوزة حلقي على زي هي هذا الزي تبع الشراب يسموه.
And then he's beaten up. So I think you understand it, that those renderings are not representation, those renderings are doorways into memory.
Donc ce souvenir, en fait, c'était que l'un des geôliers lui avait enfoncé la tête dans cette fenêtre afin de qu'il soit battu en fait par l'autre côté. Vous allez entendre son témoignage à présent. À la suite de ce que vous venez d'entendre, il est battu. Et ce que vous devez comprendre, en fait, c'est que ce que nous avons réalisé là, finalement, ce sont des portes vers le souvenir, vers la mémoire.
Now, when you work against government like Syria, when we published it, there was a big controversy, and the president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, had to respond to our work. And now I will show you what President Bashar al-Assad said.
It was a report made by Qatar, and financed by Qatar. You don't know the source, you don't know the names of those victims, nothing verified about that report. It was paid by Qatar directly in order to verify and smear the Syrian government and the Syrian army. There are a lot of eyewitnesses. No one knows who are they. You don't have anything clear about that. It's not verified. So no.
So this is the reality of fake news. We make a study that is very precise, reconstruction, and of course, any government would say, you're funded by somebody else. We are still, in fact, waiting for the Qatari money. We never received Qatari money. So these accusations are completely ridiculous.
Donc, bien sûr, il y a eu une énorme controverse en Syrie à l'époque. Il a bien entendu fallu que le président Bachar el-Assad réagisse à cela. Vous allez donc entendre sa réaction et voir sa réaction à présent. Et là, on a vraiment la fake news dans toute sa splendeur. Nous avons mené une étude de terrain. Notre reconstruction est extrêmement fine et précise, mais il faut, comme tout gouvernement, que ce gouvernement dise que les fonds viennent d'ailleurs. Et bien, écoutez, je dois vous avouer aujourd'hui qu'on attend toujours, en tout cas, l'argent du Qatar. Donc voilà, vous voyez bien à quel point tout cela est ridicule.
So we understand conflict is not only on the battlefield, but on the media sphere.
Donc vous voyez bien que le conflit ne se joue pas seulement sur le champ de bataille, mais aussi sur le champ médiatique.
Here is a prison that the Americans, French, and Israelis are funding in northern Cameroon.
Ici, vous voyez une vue aérienne d'une prison au nord du Cameroun, prison construite par les États-Unis, la France et l'Israël.
In which Cameroonian soldiers have been accused of torturing suspects and executing them.
Et des soldats camerounais ont été accusés d'avoir torturé et tué de nombreux hommes.
The Americans said that they have never been, that they have no access to this prison.
Les États-Unis ont déclaré qu'il n'y avait aucune possibilité en plus de jours d'avoir accès à cette prison.
But we went on Facebook and saw this. We found on Facebook American soldier posting images, chilling out, and we located them precisely within the 3D model of this military base / prison.
Alors si cela est vrai, que tout cela n'existe pas, voilà ce que nous avons trouvé sur Facebook. Donc vous voyez ces images ont été postées par des soldats américains. Vous voyez que tout le monde se détend. Cela dit, nous avons intégré ceci à notre modèle 3D, donc cette base militaire / prison.
And we can see the Americans had access into the heart of this base.
Et donc on peut se rendre compte que les États-Unis, qui disaient ne pas pouvoir accéder à cette prison, avaient finalement la possibilité d'accéder en son cœur.
And that this base is being extended.
Et la base a même été étendue.
And American commandos are training Cameroonian commando.
Des commandos américains entraînent des commandos camerounais.
And here they're playing football with them.
Et ici, vous voyez qu'ils jouent ensemble au foot.
Right next to the places where people are tortured.
Juste à côté de là où l'on torture des gens.
So we can expose the American lie.
Donc vous pouvez mettre au jour le mensonge américain.
In blue is where we saw the American photographs.
Donc, en bleu, c'est là où nous avons vu les photos des Américains.
Here in yellow is where the places of detention.
Ici, vous voyez en jaune les sites de détention.
And in red, the torture site.
Et enfin, en rouge, les lieux de torture.
So this is how Facebook had become a counter-surveillance apparatus.
Et voici donc comment Facebook peut devenir un outil de
Contre-investigation.
de contre-investigation. Merci.
Now we are looking at the Mediterranean, where Europe does not want to take any more migrants from Africa.
Nous voici dans la région
L'Europe
méditerranéenne.
ne veut pas prendre les migrants d'Afrique. Et ce qu'il fait, il dit que des ONG qui rescue les migrants en Méditerranée et people smugglers, that they are just like people smugglers. Okay, the Europeans say that the NGO that rescue people in the Mediterranean are people smugglers. Okay, no problem. And you can see what is happening in the Mediterranean at this time. Here you have a European NGO rescuing people. You see they are out, the boat has sank.
Donc voilà ce qui se passe dans la région méditerranéenne. Ici, vous voyez une ONG européenne qui vient en aide à des victimes dont le bateau a sombré.
And this is the Libyan Coast Guard that is paid by Europe to take the refugees, is attacking the European NGO and resulting in the loss of life at sea.
Et ce sont donc les gardes-côtes libyens ici, donc comme vous pouvez le voir, qui attaquent donc les membres de cette ONG européenne. Tout ceci a bien sûr coûté malheureusement de nombreuses vies.
Because Europe wants the Libyan to take the migrant and bring them back to Libya where they're put in concentration camp.
Puisque bien sûr la stratégie derrière tout ça est de ramener les migrants dans des camps de concentration en Libye.
And for this reason, they confiscate the NGO boats.
Et pour ce faire, ils confisquent bien sûr les bateaux des ONG.
And this is an image by the Italian prosecutor.
Donc ici, voici une image qui a été fournie par la justice italienne.
That says that this NGO boat is helping smugglers by carrying this boat back to Libya.
Et donc, ce qui nous y est dit, c'est que ici, le bateau de l'ONG aide les migrants à retourner en Libye.
But how do they know from this photo which direction they take the boat?
Mais à partir de cette seule photo, comment peuvent-ils savoir dans quelle direction se dirige le bateau?
So we do counter-investigation.
Donc nous avons fait une contre-enquête.
And yes, the one thing that shows the direction is the waves.
Et tout ce que nous avons remarqué, afin de nous indiquer une direction, ce serait le sens des vagues.
So we motion track the waves.
Nous avons donc reconstitué par ordinateur le mouvement de ces vagues.
And create a 3D model of the waves.
Et donc nous en avons créé un modèle en 3 dimensions.
And we compare it to open source meteorological data of the wind and the waves.
Et nous avons comparé donc cette modélisation à des données que l'on trouve en open source, donc données météorologiques et géographiques.
So we can see that the NGO is taking the boat towards the north, away from Africa.
Et nous voyons donc ici que le bateau de cette ONG en fait se dirige exactement dans la direction opposée.
So the accusation against them, we could show, is not correct.
Ce qui prouve bien que l'accusation est complètement infondée.
But of course, the problem is that also Europe knows how to do fake news and cancelled our investigation.
Alors le problème c'est que l'Europe aussi est source de fake news et a bien sûr tout fait aussi pour nous empêcher de mener à bien notre enquête.
In April this year, there was a controversy about chemical strike in Syria.
En avril de cette année, il y a eu une controverse concernant des attaques chimiques en Syrie.
2 yellow canisters were found.
Donc vous voyez ici que 2 missiles ont été retrouvés.
And the Russian media who went on site said that they are fake evidence, that they were planted by rebels.
Et les médias russes ont dit qu'il s'agissait ici d'une fausse preuve et qu'en fait ces missiles avaient été déposés là par des rebelles.
So we investigated this footage.
Nous avons donc mené notre enquête concernant donc ceci.
To see if the canisters came from the sky.
Afin de voir si les produits chimiques étaient venus du ciel,
or from the ground.
ou alors s'ils avaient émané du sol.
The sky is Syrian and Russian,
Donc on voit, on voit au ciel donc, les Syriens et les Russes.
and the ground is rebel controlled.
Donc la zone aérienne est contrôlée.
Le ciel c'est contrôlé par les Russes et le ground c'est contrôlé par les rebelles. Oui? Okay.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. So we are looking for all sort of evidence for this. For example, we see that there used to be a fence up, and we can find that fence below, and we see also these elements, we can find it in the rubble.
Nous avons donc rassemblé toutes sortes de preuves. Par exemple, ici, vous voyez ces restes de barrières métalliques qui va vers le haut, mais également
Can you repeat, please?
Yes, we find all sort of evidence that suggests that this canister comes from the air, like this element and the fence.
Just wait a little bit.
No problem. Do you want me to try in French, or is that not understandable, my French?
Ce qui s'est passé, c'est qu'il y avait des grillages au-dessus, et ils se sont rendus compte qu'il y avait des grillages en bas, ils les ont détachés pour voir si c'était possible qu'ils les détachaient ou pas. Voilà. Non mais je pourrais tout traduire. Allez Charles. Ok, on peut faire passer un micro si vous voulez.
Philippe, c'est vrai.
On peut le faire quand on peut.
Ça va de façon collégiale, mais...
Oui.
On va tous Oui. Peut-être qu'on peut lui expliquer qu'on va faire ça si
Oui.
Allez Charles, explique-lui. Présente-toi.
Hi, Eyal.
Hello.
Hi, our translator just stepped out, so we're going to try and translate between us what I'm saying.
We try with my broken French. Is that something that it's possible to do?
If you want to.
Essayez, moi je ne parle pas français, mais je peux essayer lentement. Donc,
we understand English, so it's okay. You can speak in English, and if anything, we'll translate.
okay, should I speak in English? Okay, yes. Very good. So we see this element, for example, in red.
On voit cet élément en rouge.
And we look from through open source website, for example, Bellingcat. And we can find the same element is being used to roll things from the sky. This is a helicopter.
Et sur les sites open source, on trouve le même élément qui est utilisé pour rouler des... Can you repeat the last part, please?
So this is an element that allows something to be rolled from a helicopter, from the air.
C'est un élément qui est utilisé pour rouler des éléments des hélicoptères.
And then we build a 3D model from photographs.
Ensuite, on construit un module en 3D à partir des photos.
And we make an object, a 3D object that we can look, that we can study.
Et on étudie un objet qu'on a fabriqué en 3D.
And we look at all the evidence in it. For example, we could see a certain charring at the top that comes from the explosive.
Et on peut observer en haut
like we find in other bombing sites.
Que ça a été bombé quoi, par un explosif.
And very importantly, we see this grid on the surface.
Et c'est très important, on voit une grille en fait à la surface.
That we can compare by the computer to the size of the fence.
Qu'on peut comparer avec la taille du grillage qu'on a trouvé sur place.
So we can be 100% sure this thing has brought down the fence from above.
Et on peut être assuré que cette chose a détruit le grillage par le haut.
But we see also that the drainage, you see here the drainage sign, point upwards, and that is very strange.
Le drainage pointe vers le haut, ce qui est étrange.
And so we know that somebody tampered with the evidence.
Donc on sait que quelqu'un a trafiqué les preuves.
Yeah, and this is a big problem.
C'est un gros problème.
So we know two things when we look at it. One, we can be 100% sure this has been dropped by whoever controlled the sky, that is the Syrians.
Donc on peut être sûr que ce sont les Syriens qui l'ont fait tomber du ciel.
But we also know that the people on the ground changed the evidence, touched it, tampered with it.
Et on peut aussi être assuré que ceux au sol ont trafiqué les preuves.
And this is why it's important to have independent investigation, because you can show both sides sometimes are incorrect.
Et c'est pour ça que c'est important d'avoir des investigations indépendantes, comme ça on peut montrer les deux côtés des preuves.
For example, we see that in the second site, we have here the hole in the ceiling.
Et on peut voir dans le deuxième site qu'il y a le trou au plafond.
But the canister sits on the bed.
Mais le but est sur le lit.
So somebody put it artificially on the bed to look worse than it is. But actually, already children died by this chemical attack, so it was hard enough. They did not need to tamper with the evidence.
Donc quelqu'un l'a placé sur le lit alors que déjà le dépôt chimique a déjà tué des enfants, donc c'était pas nécessaire de dramatiser encore plus la situation.
Now we're speaking about a murder.
Alors maintenant d'un meurtre
in Germany
en Allemagne
by neo-Nazi group. They came, two neo-Nazi killings came from this door.
Ils sont venus par cette porte.
And they stood around here.
Ils sont mis plus ou moins ici.
And they shot twice in the head of Khalid Yozgat, a man who was sitting here by the chair.
Ils ont tué cet homme 2 fois dans la tête, qui était assis ici.
And this is like many killings that happen in Germany, neo-Nazi killings.
Et c'est comme plusieurs meurtres qui se sont faits en Allemagne par des néo-nazis.
But the problem that in this one, over here at the back side of the shop, sat a Secret Service agent, a state agent.
Et au fond du magasin était assis un officier secret
And the question was what the Secret Service agent does in the shop while a murder is taking place.
Et la question c'est que fait-il là alors qu'un meurtre se produit.
So the parents of this victim asked us to investigate.
Donc les parents de la victime nous ont demandé d'investiguer.
Because the Secret Service agent left the shop, said didn't see, he didn't hear the gunshot. He didn't see the body and didn't hear the gunshot.
Parce que l'agent, je sais pas comment on dit ce mot en français, mais
Les services secrets.
le service secret a dit qu'il a quitté le lieu sans rien voir.
Okay. And when we started investigating, the Germans put a ban on the file until 2134.
Et alors qu'on est en train d'investiguer, les Allemands ont mis quelque chose pour nous empêcher d'investiguer jusqu'à 2034.
So we took all the files, the police files were leaked.
Donc on a récupéré tous les documents de la police
And we used them to build a 3D model
et donc on les a utilisés pour créer un module de 3D
because the shop was destroyed after the killing.
parce que le magasin a été détruit après le meurtre.
So from the photos we built very precise 3D model.
Donc on a construit un module très précis à partir des photos.
But we decided that we don't need only a 3D model, we need to build a one-to-one physical model.
Et on s'est dit qu'un module 3D n'était pas suffisant, de devoir en construire un de personne à personne.
So you see here is a model, a real model to be built off the shop.
Et donc là, on a construit un vrai à partir du module 3D.
This is the counter where the victim was shot.
C'est ici que la victime a été tuée.
And this is the back part of the shop.
Et ici, c'est l'arrière du magasin.
And all the victims were actually connected online.
Et toutes les victimes étaient connectées en ligne.
So we could create from the logins the time of the murder.
Et grâce grâce à ça, on pouvait situer la période, le temps quand le meurtre a eu lieu.
But then the question was if the Secret Service agent is telling the truth when he said he did not hear the gunshot.
Et donc on peut savoir s'il disait vraiment la vérité quand il a dit qu'il n'a pas entendu le coup de feu.
Okay, so what we did is we shot gun in the US.
So can you repeat that in here?
The CZ, no suppressor.
In the US, you can shoot anything at anyone.
Donc ils ont testé le pistolet aux États-Unis.
And we took the sound of the gunshot.
Et ils ont pris le deux du tir.
You can use with a silencer.
Avec un silencieux, je sais pas si silencieux.
And then we placed it in the shop, and we played the gunshot and measured the level of sound.
Measurement 2, multiple gunshot. Start now. Measurement end.
And we compared it to a 3D model.
Et ensuite ils ont comparé à un module 3D.
And we could show that he could hear it. Then we simulated the smell.
C'était clair qu'il pouvait l'entendre, et après on a simulé l'odorat.
And show that he could smell the gunpowder.
Il aurait pu sentir la poudre.
And then we wanted to show that he could see it.
On voulait montrer qu'il pouvait le voir.
And what we did is that we reconstructed, this is the Secret Service agent doing a reenactment for the police.
Le voici qui réenacte pour la police.
And in this slide we show what he would have seen.
Et là on montre ce qu'il aurait vu à droite.
So he's looking for he said he's looking for the victim, he cannot find him.
Il dit qu'il cherche la victime, il ne la trouve pas.
And then he's going back.
Et donc il rentre.
He says maybe the victim is in the back.
Peut-être qu'elle est à l'arrière.
And then he takes a coin from his pocket.
Et donc après il prend une pièce de sa poche.
Because that coin was found later on the table.
Parce qu'ensuite on a trouvé cette pièce sur la table.
And when he put the pièce on the table, he could see the body.
Et quand il a mis la pièce sur la table, c'est là où il a vu le corps.
So we know that he's lying.
Donc on sait qu'il ment.
But we don't know why.
Mais on ne sait pas pourquoi.
So we want to present it in court and ask for the Secret Service files.
On veut présenter en cour de justice et demander les fichiers de l'agence secret.
We cannot do it, so we put the investigation in an exhibition, in Documenta.
Et on l'a mis dans une expo documentaire.
And even policemen went to see this exhibition. These are policemen.
Ben, c'est des policiers qui sont allés voir l'expo.
And also member of parliament.
Même des membres du Parlement.
And then we were invited to present it to the parliament.
Et après on l'a présenté au Parlement.
But the CDU, the Christian Democrat Party,
Le Parti démocratique chrétien,
said our evidence is fake. They did fake news to us.
ils ont dit que c'était faux ce qu'on avait prouvé.
Because they said because we are artists.
Parce que nous sommes des artistes.
So when we present in art space, they say this is not art, this is evidence.
Donc quand on présente ce type d'informations dans des espaces artistiques, ils disent que c'est pas de l'art, c'est des preuves.
And when we show it in court, they say it is not evidence, it is art.
Quand on le montre en cour de justice, ce n'est pas des preuves, c'est de l'art.
So here is a diagram of how difficult it is to produce and present counter-forensic work.
Donc ça c'est un diagramme qui vous montre comment c'est difficile de présenter des preuves de counter-forensic.
And we are presenting it both in court, in courts,
On le présente en cour de justice,
in parliamentary inquiries,
au Parlement,
in citizen tribunal,
aux tribunaux,
in exhibitions,
dans les expositions
and in the media.
et dans les médias.
This is, in counter-forensics, you don't only work in court, but you work in all those spaces.
Et donc en architecture forensique, on montre ça partout, pas que en cour de justice.
And when we cannot show in courts, we turn culture and art spaces into our courts.
Et quand on ne peut pas le montrer en cour de justice, on transforme les lieux culturels en nos cours de justice.
And now, would you like me to stop or continue? I know that we are running out of time. Maybe I should take some questions.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Eyal. It's Philip. You can stop if you want, if there are some questions. I think there will a lot. You deal with just a few projects that determine and give us a lot of information about your attitude of forensic architecture attitude. So I will give the microphone to the public for questions.
I would be happy to hear from you. If you speak in French, please speak slowly and I can understand.
Hello, Eyal Weizman.
Hello.
I'm Daniel Esteves from. I am an architect and professor at the National School of Architecture in Toulouse. I have two questions. The first is, what is your relationship with other architects or common architects? And in your opinion, what are the lessons of your work, which is fantastic for me, in direction of common architects? And the second question is, what are the software you are using to make these incredible pictures and models?
Thank you for this question. We are mainly architects and we work with many other architectural firms. Oh, should I just continue?
Yes.
Okay. we use normal architectural software. And the reason we can do our work with normal architectural software is, though, if you think from the Second World War to today, architecture moved slowly and incrementally, but the architectural software moved exponentially, much greater development in architectural knowledge, in architectural theory, in architectural technology, than the actual change in physical architecture on the ground. So architecture has become a very powerful system of knowledge, a very powerful system of research, and we need to use that as architects to become like investigative journalists, to show our particular point of view, to show our particular analysis, because other professions cannot see it. Now war is in the city, war is in an urban environment, and when war is in an urban environment, buildings are target to violence, and we need architecture to understand what is going on.
And for the software you are using?
The software is it's the usual software that any architect is using, from CAD software to animation software like Rhino, Cinema 4D, Blender, to more sophisticated software to do with data management, etc. But these are not specialized software for forensic architecture. These are all the normal, the kit, the kind of the stack of software that is necessary to do architecture, and we just turn it around. We start from a ruin and build back building, so to say, but it's the same architectural software.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Catherine Cataluzza.
Your name is?
Catherine Cataluzza.
Hello, Catherine.
Your work is absolutely fabulous, obviously, and but I have to question, how can it backfire to you regarding the people in power? How do they use your research for their own investigation? I mean, there's a moment where they must be using your research. There's a time where they're using your own research for themselves, like the people in the power, the states that you are investigating.
Yes, of course. You're right. There is a cat and mouse. There is a cat and mouse. We can show them. For example, we now analyze drone strikes by Israel in Gaza, and the Israeli army does not know that we can analyze it to such an extent, so they are less careful. Now that we show how we analyze, they become careful, but this is part of our reason. There's always a cat and mouse thing. You always have to be aware that everything that you do could be used against your politics. No, we are not supporting Israeli colonialism. We are against it. But of course, we need to be always careful that we do not get abused by power, but it's not always possible. But I think that is the paradox of every political action. If you want to be a critic and to be outside, maybe your work cannot be abused. But when you start acting, when you provide concept, when you provide tools, everything could be abused. In my older work, I showed also how the writing of Gilles Deleuze and Félix Guattari has been used by Israeli soldiers. I could show how lawyers use Derrida to do the kind of work of domination, not work of rebellion. So this risk exists. It is impossible to completely avoid it. However, we need to be very thoughtful in the way that we that we are not that we can minimize that threat.
Thank you.
Oui, bonjour. Je vais poser la question.
Bonjour.
Je vais poser la question en français.
Oui.
J'aimerais savoir quels sont vos financements, comment est-ce que vous financez votre travail. Est-ce que c'est les associations caritatives d'aide aux migrants? Est-ce que c'est la famille, par exemple, du jeune homme qui a été tué par les néo-nazis en Allemagne? Et quels sont été, vous avez abordé un petit peu les débouchés, est-ce qu'il y a eu des suites en fait à ces affaires-là? Et également, êtes-vous menacé vous-même?
Oui, okay. So we are financed mainly by human rights grants and by academic grants. So I receive ERC, which is a European Research Council grant, because we need to develop new evidentiary techniques. We don't only provide evidence, but we innovate in the use of evidence. We also advise the International Criminal Court in The Hague on how to use new evidence. We are also funded by human rights group, but mainly, if somebody comes to us and asks us to work, they have to pay for our work. So we are like private eye, like private detective, no? They said, we want to know that. We said, this is going to cost this. We need to keep the office operational, so we do that. However, nobody that gives us money has any control over our results. Even if you commission us and we find evidence against you, we will publish it.
Hello, I'm Camille, I'm a design student in Toulouse. I just wanted to know, so sometimes you're commissioned by people to investigate, so is it always, your project starts always with the commission, or sometimes it's your own interest in some case, or what are your main interests? Like, I know you have some interest in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Did you understand my question?
I understood it, I think, perfectly, and let me try to answer it. So, I love to be commissioned because I love to be surprised. If I would only choose my own cases, I would tend to work for Palestinian rights only, because this is something that's very close to me and I'm very interested in. However, we never know who enters through the office. We never know what is the case, and we love to be surprised. There are people that come to us with questions about earthquakes in Mexico. We would love to do that, but we would never think ourselves to do it. So I love to be commissioned. However, about a third of our investigations are always pro bono. This is investigation that we want to do, and that we use commission and money received from other sources in order to do the investigations that we very much care about. For example, now we finish an investigation in Eastern Turkey that we did on that basis. It is a pro bono investigation for, when we are looking at the killing of human rights activists in Turkey, for example. Also in the places like in Gaza, we don't charge money when we do work there, and other places.
Hello. You've recently been nominated for the Turner Prize in London, I think.
No, not nominated anymore. Lost it.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say you lost it. But how much do you care about the art recognition? Because you keep trying to present your works in exhibitions and stuff. And this was some kind of first recognition. But how much do you care about this artwork recognition?
Well, we are present in various fields right now. We are present in the field of art because I don't know, I'm not an artist, and it's not my field of operation, but I think that art is interested in politics, it's interested in media theory, in investigation, etc. So they became interested in us, and they give us a stage to present our work, and we're happy about it. Also, journalism is interested in our work, and we help, for example, with Mediapart in France, like with the New York Times or BBC, establish forensic media technique and technology. So this is something that we do with the media. Again, I'm not a journalist, but I'm very interested in this field and like the engagement, also in law and in human rights. So we are kind of very multidisciplinary. Sometimes the focus on art becomes too strong, and it can become counterproductive when people say, people understand art to be something like fictionalization. They do not understand art to have truth value. But we, obviously, as an organization, what is interesting for us is to maintain the truth value of our statement. So therefore, we are we try to balance our work with art in work with human rights, with law, journalism, and other things. But I have to say, the art world has been very good for us, very productive. Sometimes we do not believe that we think evidence needs to be made public. Evidence needs to be made political. If you only put it in the hands of the court, it will become a bureaucratical thing. We choose our cases because we think that a certain small case can have a big political effect. The political value of our work is more important for us than the technical value of our work. So we need something to multiply the effect of our work, and sometimes art does it very well. Sometimes we cannot put our work in courts, and then we put it in an exhibition, and it makes the effect through the exhibition. So there's good sides to it, and there are bad sides, there are dangers, etc., and we need to balance it. And to tell you the truth, I'm relatively relieved we didn't get the Turner Prize, because then it would be very hard to convince courts that we are not artists.
Hello, I'm a student in architecture in 5th year, and obviously the most important question for us now is what's next. And I just want to know if when you started your work in forensic architecture, did it come like it was obviously that's what you wanted to do, or did you do some conventional architecture work in conventional architecture firms, and then you figured out that that's not what you wanted to do, and it's the contrary, the opposite, going from the ruins to the building, and how did it come to you?
I need to write my autobiography or to speak to my psychoanalyst in order to answer this. But I could say generally that I was always interested in politics. I was always interested also in war. I was repulsed by it, and I was attracted intellectually to it. I think like many sort of French writers and philosophers like Paul Virilio and others, even Gilles Deleuze, even the Situationist, had a certain repulsion and attraction to conflict. And I think I'm suffering from the same disease, maybe, as they're suffering from. Of course, I do not compare myself to those luminaries, but at least I caught the same virus. And I don't know, life plays trick on us. I thought I'm going to be a designer. I started to study architecture because I love architecture and I love buildings. And I went to the AA in London, and I spent a lot of money in learning how to design. And finally it didn't work out because life swept me to this field, and I'm I feel intellectually fulfilled. It's almost like my third career now, because I did start as an architect. I had an office in Tel Aviv. I built a museum. I built a stage, a theater. Then I became a writer. I started writing books. And now I think that I do this forensics because I understand, A, it's politically important, and two, I think it's a kind of a new way of doing theory, of doing philosophy through architecture, of understanding the world, of understanding media, understanding law, understanding politics. It's fascinating for me as a field. So right now I think I'm going to stay in that for a little while longer, before my fourth career would start. But and of course, within our field, every investigation that we do is completely different. We use new technologies, we use different we invent new things, so it's never the same.
Thank you.
So, Eyal, it seems to be there are no more questions. This is Philip too, so thank you very much.
No, I really enjoyed it, and I think right now I could understand at least those people that ask questions have absolutely better English than mine. You know, I'm not an English speaker, so I apologize for the difficulty in the slowness of that. And I hope to see you in person. I really hope to come to Toulouse in the near future. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eyal.
Should I close? I mean, I can take you to the office if you like. But everybody is in lunchtime, so you wouldn't see anyone, but you can see at least the office. Everybody, I think they're all... Okay, bye-bye.